It is definitely a fucking arse kicking. It is an arse kicking. It is a fucking absolute arse kicking. So we are getting all right. We are hot. Hope everybody had a good weekend. And we've been getting kind of smacked up a bit right from the get-go. I mean, we opened down last night, but we did bounce back up about I was about like 15 or 20 handles, and then I woke up this morning and we were down like 35, and we've been kind of sitting right here at a round down 40 handles all morning. And I was kind of reflecting on it a little bit, and just kind of, it doesn't feel like, even though we've had these last, I haven't really looked it up, is it like 4 or 5 sessions or so? And I don't know, it doesn't feel like a crash. And I know anytime you get any kind of prolonged downswing in the market, there's, the wing nuts who are usually out there banging the table like it's the end of the world are all going to come out of the woodwork, and then they're all going to get the airtime, and then, I just doesn't feel like a crash to me. It feels a little too, maybe, I don't know what the word is for it, but calm. It seems like a very calm kind of correction. I don't know if it's going to get violent or even more violent. Some pretty key areas today, 57.76 down here. Let me do this real quick. 57.76. Let me bring this up. And I've been wanting to do this. Come on. Come on. There we go. Show my pivots. I thought line width, but it doesn't have now the label. You can't make the label bigger, can you? No, you can't make the label bigger, which is crap. That sucks. Someone's got to write one. Someone's got to write one of these to make the labels bigger. Anyway, doesn't matter. I can read it. 57.76.25. I kind of like that, right? You have this. Let's get our screen brush. Wrong screen. You have this fairly large high volume node down here with a pretty decent mix of buying and selling. And right above it is S3 today. So I kind of like that. Also below there, if you're looking at, right, if you want to find out what happens to the left, look right, or whatever. If you want to find out what happens to the right, look left, depending on what side of the globe you're on. But, you look back here from back in November, getting seriously close to those pre-election numbers. And so you have this band down here. I don't want that to be anything. I don't want it to be an up arrow or up, because I don't know what's going to happen down there. I mean, shit, I have no idea. If I did, right, I'd be on a beach in Maui or in Bali or one of those places. I sure as hell wouldn't be here. But we are getting very close to these pre-election highs. So 74.44 on the high end, and then on the very bottom, the very bottom, right there, is about 57.24. So I'm going to go ahead and create an alert down there. And realistically, look, I'm not looking at that as like saying like, oh, you know, here, oh, I'm going to be all in. I never do that. One thing 30 plus years has taught me is never go all in. Okay, and so there is that alert. And for those asking, I am creating a little alert service in. I'm not creating an alert service. I have a little alert service going in Discord. I haven't opened it up yet, and only because I need to find I'm like the Marines. I'm not just looking for a few good men. I'm looking for a few good people. Because I don't want to just run it by myself. And I don't want it to be something that's going to morph into someone wanting to make a profit center out of it. So there you have. That's kind of what I've been working. So when I put these alerts in, that's where they're going. And so I'm trying to tweak things. But I am in the market for looking for a few good people, preferably 3. We had done it before, and we had a really good group. And it was just a shame that, you know, it wasn't sustainable, right? It was during the pandemic. Everybody was home. Everybody had time. People were working from home. So it was really easy to find people who actually, you know, there's very few people in and around that do what I do, where I have a full-time job, and I'm basically a full-time trader as well. And I also want to run a community. And I don't want it to be, again, I don't want it to turn out to be one of these sleazeball operations that you see out there where they're trying to just, you know, peddle you whatever the latest and greatest indicator or any. I don't want any part of that. I don't want any part of that at all. And that's why I'm very picky about who I kind of let in the 2025. I let in the Discord this time. I don't want it because we did. I'm not to say we didn't have, but it had. It did kind of get away from us a little bit. And again, a lot of us didn't have time because everybody went back to work. And I was the only one who was still kind of working from home and being able to do it. I actually even got called back to my office for a short time as well. So I didn't really have, so it kind of like quietly went away, unfortunately. So anyway, S3, 57.76. I kind of like that area. You know, again, just a bounce trade. And then as far as like analysis of, you know, where we're going from here, I mean, you just start scrunching this up and your guess is as good as mine. I mean, these areas over here, you can even pull this all the way out into October. So I think this area that I've drawn up here, especially this 57.24 area, I think is pretty important for the overall support of this market. If we break that, as I mentioned even last week, there's a pretty strong likelihood there's not a lot of inventory down here. You have a huge volume hole down here, and then the next stop fills this gap, and the next stop is somewhere around 56.40. So, you know, and it could, I guess the point is it could get ugly, but even at, you know, seriously, even at 56.40, is it really that ugly when you consider this is this year. This is this year right here. Started 2024. So if you're talking 5640, which is up here, I mean, I don't know if that's really be considered ugly though, right? It's ugly because you're in the moment of it being ugly, but is it ugly? I don't know. I don't really think so. So, I mean, ugly to me is if we start talking, for under 5K, that's ugly. Then I think it gets ugly. But we have a long way to go for that. So, anyway, just no panic, cautiously concerned. Yeah, sure. Why not? But there you go for today. That's really the only thing I'd be looking at. I would stand clear. I don't know if we get a rally today. I don't know if I would actually have the fortitude to short it. And I think it was mentioned last night. I was watching the Tasty Trade show. I forgot what it was called on Sunday nights. And I think Sosnoff said it. The reason I think maybe we're not getting these huge rallies on these sell-offs is no one's short. And just think about that for a second. When there's a large majority, or at least there are short sellers and a decent amount of them out there, and you get any signs of like there might be a rally, what's going to happen, right? You're going to force all those people to come and cover, forcing the market to go up. And I think we don't have that. And it makes a lot of sense to me because nobody is short. Because the shorts have gotten their faces ripped off for what, 2 years now? Year and a half, good 2 years, just literally ripped off. Not even just like lightly, just ripped their face off. So anyway, that's kind of what's going on with the ES today. As far as like economic stuff, I didn't really see anything today, but I don't know if any of this stuff I don't even know if anybody even pays. Again, I mean, there's going to be a few wonks out there that's, I guess, what they do, that they're going to pay attention to it. I know tomorrow it looks like there's PPI, core. The market may actually look at that. But again, I don't know if so much weight's being put into these numbers. I think everybody's literally listening to what the freaking Federal Reserve says. So, I mean, obviously everyone's going to try and interpret what these numbers are and try and forecast what the Fed does. I don't know. I don't try to play that game. But you do have a lot of these numbers coming out, like these inflation numbers this week. And I would have to say that it's probably going to be weighed upon. If they're good inflation numbers, it may actually give the market a little bit of catalyst. If the economy seems hot and inflation still remains a bit hot, there might be some more pressure on the market to the downside. But I don't know. What the frig do I know, right? We've seen others. So that's what's kind of going on the economic calendar. Story of the morning in commodities and futures is natural gas. Now, down from its highs, but you look at the hourly and even the 5-minute chart, natural gas gapped up on the open last night. It was up 6.5%. I mean, that's a lot of people don't. And look, nobody cares. I'm going to just say this right out in the open. No, who the F trades natural gas? There's nobody trading natural gas. And I highly doubt anybody who's even listening to this trades natural gas on a regular basis anyway. Because if you are, you're probably some big swinger who's got, you probably got a bloomy term. John Q. Public isn't trading natural gas. And let's face it, natural gas sucks to trade. It stinks. I don't care what anybody says. It sucks. They don't call it what they call it for a reason. It does suck. I think if I would actually go back and look, I know I probably lost more money in trading natural gas than I have made money, and which why it keeps me away from doing anything. I don't not do anything, but I don't get involved with it very much. I fortunately made a good trade a couple of weeks ago in it, and a volatility trade. I made a few bucks, and I kind of feel happy. But anyway, I'm just pointing it out that we gapped up. I mean, that's an enormous move. We are down a lot since then. And we do seem to be bouncing at this R2. Now, whether we bounce and go higher, I don't know. Again, I don't trade natural gas. It is the one commodity that I just usually steer clear of. But I just wanted to point that out because I thought that was a pretty big move. And a lot of it, I think, has to do with the incoming administration, right? And the hopes to sell more liquefied natural gas. And then all this cold snap that's kind of going through and running through the country all the way down to the south. So, and then, up on top of that, you have crude oil as well. Also having an enormous day, big day, like Friday, like huge range as well. And we're up near $80 on natural gas. I mean, on crude oil. And if you look back, crude oil's had a pretty big run from a commodity that was, for the most part, all of 2024 was suck. Right here, they made a high. I mean, just as far as looking at last year, made a high, lower high, lower high, lower high. Right? Then we made low, 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 right? And we based and we chopped around forever, literally since the beginning of August. One breakout and then a breakdown right back into the range, chop, chop, chop. And we are now like beating on the door again for this to break out. You mean, if you want to look at like patterns and all this other stuff, you have a pretty classic, and this is on the 4-hour, you have a classic double top here. Now, do you short it? I don't know. We all know that. Look, you got a 50-50 shot up here. You got a 50-50 shot of it either breaking out and blowing out or breaking down. Now, we do seem to be beating our head. Am I taking this trade? Hell no. If I was going to take it, I should have took it 2 hours ago because that was the spot, right? If you look at that, you can't really... I'm just going to move this out of the way real quick. But you can't deny that pivots work. Here's an R2 today. This is the 4-hour candle. We actually hit, and we have not come down since. So there you have it. I mean, so I don't make this up. We literally just breached that and failed. So if I was going to take this, I should have taken it last night or early this morning because that was the trade of the day. And we are now trading, almost, 50 handles or so from that? 25? No, 25. And so I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. So to me, that's off the table. And I don't really have anything in crude oil that I see. The only way I'm playing crude oil is in the XLE. And then bonds, we'll throw bonds up there. Bonds just look like shit. They're garbage. They look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this bond market. Oh my God. God awful. Look at this. Oof. And that's what you call an absolute arse a whooping. And scarily, is that even a word? I don't even know. I think I made that up. We are literally going back to almost October 2023 lows. We're not far away. Not at all. I mean, I don't know where the bottom is in this. I have not added to anything. As everybody knows, I'm, neck high long in bonds, and it has not worked at all. At all. And so that's it. That's really all I got. Gold getting a bit of a whooping today, down about 26 handles. So they're not selling equities and buying gold. And then we'll step into Bitcoin. Bitcoin now down to 90K. I think we did break. Yeah, there's the line I put in yesterday, or whenever the hell it was, Friday. I do think we break below. And did we break below? I think we did. Let me see. No, not yet. I think we break below 90K today. And I have a kind of weird prediction. I think a break of 90K today in Bitcoin may trigger a rally in stocks. Look, that's, yeah. And as crazy as you might think that sounds, and like my thinking is that, is that the point where literally whoever's been liquidating out of their Bitcoin is now rotating into stocks and actually looking at some stuff that's gotten a little beat up. And I'm not looking like, I'm not saying we're going to rally 900. I'm saying we rally and maybe even just print a couple of green days here. Anyway, just a thought. Don't really have any other thoughts in this whole area. As you know, my whole feeling on it is I feel like you got to own some cryptocurrencies, digital assets, whatever you want to call them. Just don't bet the farm. And as I mentioned, I equate the Bitcoin, the digital asset market, very similar to something that I can remember, at least as a retail stockbroker, was the limited partnerships. And they were the gas and exploration limited partnerships. Back in the day, there were also a lot of real estate limited partnerships as well that the brokerage firms sold in the late 80s and early 90s. And I remember that because I was kind of young, wet behind the ears broker, and all the brokerage firms were beating the table and telling people to buy these things like crazy. And literally they all just bellied up. I mean, I don't think any of them survived. There's a handful. Like Kinder Morgan, I think, was a limited partnership that eventually went public. But there's a couple of REITs out there that actually were and then went public. But that's what I remember. And I guess my point is like waiting to see. To me, if I was actually going to be a bettor in here in any of these, I would stick to like probably the big five with the biggest market cap, because I think what'll happen is they'll wind up absorbing most of the lower underlings, and I think you get a better liquid market. So anyway, no real say in anything. That's all. I just want to point that out. And there's a bunch of earnings too this week. Earnings start off. I did get assigned on my Adobe, so I was short some puts. I was short the 490 puts. As you know, I had an iron condor. I rolled it. It was at max loss. I think the max loss was like $400. And and so I'm actually long now 100 shares of Adobe. And so that sucks. So I'm going to have to now exercise. I'm going to have to call the desk this morning and exercise this thing to make my account flat. But just want to point that out. That, hey, look, it happens to everybody, right? When people say, "Oh, are you worried about getting assigned?" No, because it happens it's happened to me so many times. It's like, yeah, all right, whatever. All right, so I get assigned on one side, then I just go and call the desk and say, yeah, I want to exercise this, and then that's it. And then they exercise it, and then your whatever it is that you had is that max loss or max gain. Could also be one. Usually it never happens to one that you have a max gain in. Trust me, it never does. It never does. I don't know why, but it never does. And don't get me started with my theory of why it happens. I know there's a million different explanations from the talking heads, but my theory is with assignments is that it's the brokerage firms doing it. And they say, oh, it's because they're forced now. They do it. They do it because they do it for their own benefit. So, but that's the risk we take as option sellers, right? That's the risk we're taking for them to give us the collateral for it. So it is. It's kind of like, and this is their opportunity to shove it up our ass. So, and they do. And so that's that. So anyway, so I'm along 100 shares of Adobe. I don't know what I want to do with it yet. I may sell call, but I mean, I don't even know if selling calls against it is even going to be worth it because I'm long the 490s. It's at 405. The thing's got to go like $100 in order for me to, and so I don't know if I want to. I don't know if I want to go into that rat race with a stock like Adobe. If it was Apple or Microsoft or Tesla or maybe one of those other big tech companies, I probably would sell calls, honestly, knowing my cost base. So if this was, instead of this saying Adobe, if this was Tesla or Apple, Microsoft or something like that, I would probably take the leap of faith and say, you know what, I'm going to hold on to 100 shares. I'm going to start selling calls against it. Because I have a lot of faith in those companies that they would be able to make it back. With Adobe, I don't really have that kind of faith. That's kind of what it is with that. So I'm just going to probably just flatten that and lick my wounds and have a nice day. So there are a number of earnings, and they do start off, looks like the 15th is when they start, and they're all banks. So we have Citigroup, JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, and here's the limited partnership that I was talking about that eventually went public, Kinder Morgan Group, Charlie Schwab, who I cannot stand anymore. They suck. And then you have a couple that come out before the bell on Tuesday, which... on the day after. So I'm not even going to go over these today because these come out on, it looks like Wednesday morning. So we'll go over these tomorrow. These are ones you're going to want to put on before the close tomorrow. And just looking at this IV rank just is not, and I have to check this indicator. I don't know what's going on with it. I don't know if it's not working properly, or I don't know, but it was working fine, and now it's not working anymore. And now it's working. Well, all right. So I don't know what happened with it. Yeah. So anyway, now it's back. Okay, so there, but again, I'm looking at volatility in these names, and they kind of suck. Yeah, volatility kind of sucks in here, and I don't really know. I think the only one that really looks like it may even have a chance in volatility. I'm just going to look in this. I'm just looking in this because I don't know if this is the same. Doesn't look like the same indicator. I don't know if they changed it, but yeah, I mean, this is the only one is Wells Fargo, and I don't know if there's really much to do in here. $69, probably due February. You're going to be done, probably for the most part, done with January options, unless we're going to do like a little scalp trade. $4, $5 move. I don't know what you can do in here. There doesn't really seem to be too much juice. Maybe you sell the 65s. I mean, that's about it. That's all I can really see that I would do. Because I can't even do like a decent put spread. I mean, that is not a bad trade. Even if you do something covered, the 65.60 for 76 cents. I don't know where that's going to be priced out today, but this would be for tomorrow and for Wednesday's earnings. That's not a bad. That's the only one that I see that we could even have a possibility in doing anything. And that is that. I mean, there's really nothing else hitting my tape that's giving me any reason to do much of anything. Cause everything is kind of a crap right now. Everything is a little bit of a crap. And yeah, I mean, and just to go over a few of the biggies, you got MSTR here pretty much stuck there with Tesla. I mean, I've been telling you, I've been just selling calls and puts outside of these ranges, and I've been doing them naked. I've been doing spreads because I just don't have the margin in my account to do naked calls or puts in Tesla. The margins just suck. NVIDIA, this one, I'm just kind of sitting on the sidelines with it. It's been kind of all over the place. I don't know if it's done making highs. There seems to be always something with this stock that it seems to tear on any given day, and we do have this support line running down here, which will bring us to about $1.23 or $1.24 or so. Micron, I think, is another one. As I mentioned, I have this marked out. You can sell calls above 115 and sell puts under 85. And I think you're in good shape because this thing has not done anything. It has not broken out through there at all. MongoDB, I don't know what to do with this stock. I'm waiting for this to get down to about 215, and I think maybe I'll be a buyer down there. And not a buyer in a traditional way. I'll start selling puts, especially if volatility kind of ramps up a bit. Datadog, that one I don't really have an opinion about at all. I really don't trade it. It's not a very good trading stock. And AMD, I know, is kind of kicking my ass a little bit here now, but I'm a little bit of a believer down here. I kind of like selling those 120 puts, and I'm short those 120 puts. I'm getting a little pressure now. I'm out in February, but I do still like selling puts here in AMD. I got to have a little bit of long delta somewhere. And then Netflix, same one. To me, Netflix is one where I think you sell calls up above 1,000 and you sell puts under 750. And I think you'll be in good shape with that one. Other than that, there's a bunch of crap hitting the tapes, and that's it, folks. Today's I think, going to be a very, how can I put it? A very cautious day in that I'm not really planning on doing a lot new. I'm going to manage what I have. And what did I just do? I'm going to manage what I have and I'll kind of take it as it goes here. I have to say my accounts are all under duress now. They're all underwater for the year to date. I'm sure just like everybody else, though, who has long stock, right? Who else isn't underwater? Anybody who tells you they're not is probably full of shit. And that's that. So anyway, have a good one. And I will be back